Virginmarys. Just how's it going so far?
Great, mate.
Good, mate. Good, mate. Very good. Yeah.
So
looking forward to be back on tour.
So the last time I actually interviewed you guys was way back in 2017. Now that it's been well over a year, how are you guys actually finding it as a two-piece?
Well, great. Sorry, go on, mate. After you.
It's a lot easier, isn't it, now than it was? Because obviously we've been playing in a format of 3 for 10 years. It's pretty scary, I think, and there was so much to take on. I remember being absolutely knackered, learning about different ways to fill out the sound and changing the whole dynamic. I guess how me and Danny play together now is a little bit different, but the further that it goes along, it kind of becomes commonplace, and you start to be able to, you get more wiggle room with the whole thing. I really like it. Sorry, Dan.
No. I completely agree. I think it's just kind of been really refreshing. Like, it definitely feels like you're having to make up for that extra member, obviously, and things definitely are different. But it's kind of changed the landscape, I think, in little ways where you kind of like, it actually weirdly feels like there's more we can do now than we were as a 3, which is odd. Like, I feel like we're gonna, in the next year or so, it'll just keep progressing, and there'll be more and more things added to it, which is exciting.
And how did everyone else react to it, like fans and everyone?
I would say like at maybe the first gig for some of the hardcore, I got the feeling that they were kind of weighing it up. Some people took instantly to it and couldn't believe, like, it was a bit like kind of shit, how are they doing that? Some were weighing it up. I think I got the reaction, and it was a bit like, well, I'll still support the lads, but within like the second gig, it was like it bedded in, and yeah, they love it. And it's been, I kind of feel like we're playing better than we ever have done in a lot of ways. But the reaction on the whole, it's been awesome.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think, like, it doesn't matter who you are. I think, like, you get sort of settled after a certain amount of years, and I feel like this has kind of like made us sort of almost woken us up a little bit, where you kind of like, you have to get your musicianship head on, and you're thinking about things a lot more than you'd ever used to, rather than just, I wouldn't say going through the motions, but it's just having to think about something completely different. And like you say, I think that was probably the biggest worry for us, was how some of our hardcore fans are going to take it. Because I think out of all the things you can take out of a band, if it's perceived that you're taking a bass out of a band, everyone's like, you can't take the bass out of a band, certainly a rock band. So we knew that we had to make it at least as big, if not bigger sounding. But it's yeah, I don't know. I certainly can remember a good few occasions of people that have been there from the off, and that are very kind of staunch rock fans in their beliefs. And I know for a fact they weren't happy about us not having a bass player, and just their reaction at the gig, after the gig, was amazing. Because it was kind of wow, you surprised me. I didn't expect that. I was probably coming here to go, when are you going to get a bass player? But it's good.
Yeah. So the last kind of year, you've been putting out a bunch of new material that you've been playing in the live performances, and the last few months you've also put out a few of those as singles. How did you actually choose those specific songs to put out as singles?
I tend to put the ideas to Dan, and I would say that you probably drive more what you think is the single potential. Would you say?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think I definitely thought Meds was a really, really good single to sort of bridge the gap between stuff we've done previously and where it feels like it's going with the newer songs that Al's bringing to the table. So yeah, you know, yeah, I think that was a really good first single. I think the second single was probably my favourite song of the three that we've released. That was the most exciting to me. And then I think that's it. I mean, Al's got like, you know, 15. He had like 15 new songs that he did over the whole COVID thing, and I probably in my head thought, yeah, it's going to go from a bridging gap between the older Virginmarys stuff to stuff where it's going to be more progression. So yeah, that was probably that was the thought process of my head, I think.
And the videos for both Meds and You're a Killer, they were so visually striking. Like, so much work must have went into them.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, when we made the decision, I mean, the decision sort of happened over COVID that we were going to sort of start doing it as a two, and obviously we couldn't see each other. So Al was writing songs in mind to be a two-piece and sending them to me, and then we're going back and forth, which is a totally different process we've ever done before. And then as we were talking, it was kind of like, we want to make sure that everything we do from now on is going to be different to what we've done previously. And one of the things was the videos, where it was like, we're really going to put a lot more emphasis and thought into the videos, because previously, I think pretty much all the videos previously have just been basically, we find a music director, like most bands, they pitch the idea to you, you pay them the money, and then that's the video. And it's great, you know, we've had some wicked videos, but it was kind of like, let's try and do something where we're putting our creativity into it, and you know, we're putting as much thought process into it as, maybe not as much as the song, but nearly as much as the song. So I think that's been a really interesting, probably the most interesting thing for me this year was coming up with doing the concepts of videos, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Like, we had an amazing idea for Devil, but we just ran out of budget, so unfortunately we didn't get to do it. But you know, if we ever have another song that has Devil in the title, then we can just rehash it.
So there's also a fourth track on The Devil Keeps Coming physical EP. What can you tell us about that?
It's probably one of my favorite things that I've written, and it has a lot going on within it. It's almost got like a kind of living in my peace vibe, but both lyrically strong and musically, I'd say it's a little bit of a departure from the other tunes, but I know that kind of hardcore Virginmarys fans like the kind of the difference in some of the material. I think that's kind of what makes the band in so many respects. I think we've had to kind of rein that in over the years to have any kind of success in kind of marketing the band in a way that translates to rock fans. But I think at the core, there's both me and Dan are huge Beatles fans and just music fans in general, and I guess we consider ourselves a lot more than a rock band, even though there's always that kind of urgency behind the song. So it is a little bit different from the other three, but it's one of my favorite things that we've done, I would say. So as a fan, I would be excited about it.
So the last time I interviewed you as well, Northern Sun Sessions wasn't even out, and you talked about that being a chance to release older material that you'd worked on. Is there anything else from that kind of time that's still to be heard, or is that it all out now?
There probably could easily be. to be honest. I would say that there's still ideas left. It's just about taking them and adding some kind of like chemistry or magic to bring the songs alive again. Those songs tend to be like there's a verse and a chorus, or there's something there, and then we then take it and we write around it and make it into something. I mean, in some respects, Northern Sun Sessions is kind of my favorite album out of the lot that we've done, because it's just so I think that it speaks a lot about what the band is, because there's so much going on and the songs aren't really there to be friendly in a 3.5 minute format for, you know, whether we were to ever kind of push it radio or whatever. And yeah, it was a great thing to do. I can't even remember the question. I'm sorry, mate. But there's more songs.
There definitely is older songs. I think, if I'm honest, like throughout the years, it's always been harder for Al. It always felt like it's harder for Al to ever go back. It's almost like if there's older songs that we didn't do, it's probably because they weren't as good as the ones we did. So it tends to be, I've always felt that it's always, I'll be like, oh, you remember that song? I was listening to that the other day. And it'd take something for Al to be like, all right, yeah, let's give that a go.
Well, to be, the Meds is a very good example of that riff has been knocking around for like 10 years, probably a bit of like an Enter Sandman Metallica thing.
Yeah.
And Dan was always speaking about that riff every maybe 6 months or something, and it's kind of like a gentle nudge every time. I felt like it was to kind of like, I think it should probably or we should probably do something with that. So during lockdown we did. I think at the first it was kind of like an AC/DC type song, and that's all it kind of was when we first ever went through it 10 years ago, and it wasn't enough. So yeah, it's been played around with a lot, and that's kind of how probably a lot of writers work. I guess they have like nothing really gets forgotten. It's there lurking around somewhere. So there will always be them ideas lying around.
And 2019 was such a busy year for you as well. What was it like to get back over to mainland Europe?
Yeah, it was great, man. I think that's the thing. It's we'd love to play more in Europe, and it was brilliant. It's sadly feels like it's a lot harder now, and it's changed a lot,
harder, isn't it now?
Yeah, it's changed in the last year and a half. It's just become almost impossible, really. For a certain size band to get to Europe, unless you're on a sport tour, really. So yeah,
it was awesome on it. No one ever really spoke about what Brexit would do to the musicians during that whole campaign, and there was so many kind of lies and untruths said, but music was never really even thought about. But it's made it utter hell for musicians to make it work and go over. So especially like, not for the likes of Elton John or Queens of the Stone Age, but like for bands that are going through the logistics beforehand and thinking, oh my God, now we have to get a car now that's going to cost 200 to 300 quid. We're going to have to wait there for however long. It might add more hotel. It might add. It's just, it's made it really difficult.
Yeah, and that same year you also got to reunite with Slash in Germany.
Awesome.
Yeah, mate, that was a proper wicked gig. I mean, not just him, the whole band and his crew were just. They're amazing the first time round and just as amazing the second time round. Just really great guys that love rock music. And it was obviously a massive privilege to get that opportunity to play. Yeah, I mean, Germany is just so synonymous with rock as well, and it's just, yeah, it's just really disappointing that it's become that difficult now to get over for bands of our size. So hopefully there's a change. I can't really see it happening, but
I'm pretty sure that there's some people that were at that show that come to the UK tours now as well, which is really cool.
Yeah,
it's so cool when you see people fly over, you know, from Europe to make it over to the shows.
Yeah, and you also this year's been pretty busy for you as well. You've just a few months ago you toured Sweden. What was that like? How did it differ from touring in the UK?
Really good coffee.
Yeah. The coffee was amazing. Yeah, that tour was really special. Like for loads of different reasons, but I remember saying to Al halfway through, like, we'll never do a tour like this. You know, like it was incredible. Like Pele was driving us, and other people like just went out of the way to sort of show us the best of Sweden. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I can't think of anyone that's ever been to Scandinavia countries full stop and not come back going, I absolutely love it. So it's definitely the same feeling for that. Doing like, there's like 10 shows over there. It was amazing.
Was there any challenges though?
Well, I mean, like for anyone watching the interview that doesn't know the backstory of it, was the super fan of the band that was so adamant that the Virginmarys should play Sweden, his home country, that in the end he funded the band. One of his mates is an agent, set up the tour, did everything and drove us around, and it was a crazy dynamic for 2.5 weeks maybe. It's one of the most awesome things I've done, I think. They were a little scary and exhausting at the start because we didn't know each other. It took a lot of kind of trust on both sides, I think. So there kind of was challenges, but it was really exciting because it was so out of the ordinary, and it really stripped it down to like the fundamentals of, we're a band, we just get in front of people and we play and we win fans over, and you know, there was a lot of innocence to it. So it was full of challenges, but one of my good mates actually said you could make a really good independent film over that whole scenario, and you really could, because it was kind of full of experiences, both kind of like funny, heartwarming, and yeah.
And just before that as well, you'd toured the UK supporting Ricky Warwick. What's the differences between touring as a support rather than headliners? Because it's the first kind of support full tour that you've done quite a number of years.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, since we've become a two, I think we wanted to do more supports. Just really to because it feels like a sort of fresh start. We've always done really well with supports because we've always been that band that, you know, if there's a problem and you've got no sound check, we're still really good. Like we can deal with that better than most bands. If we've only got 15 minutes to play, you know, we feel like we've got enough to make people stand up and go, because, you know, it's like a lot of people don't even bother with support bands. So yeah, I think we've got a lot of strengths in playing when we do supports, in terms of we can just immediately grab people. Obviously when it's your own tour, there's a lot more thought process that goes into it, and refreshing, you know, you don't want to keep playing the same stuff, and refreshing the tunes for the fans and stuff. Whereas with the support, it's literally just you play your strongest songs, bang bang bang, and, you know, in and out.
Yeah, so you also got to know Anchor Line on that tour, and you're going back out on the road with them in a week and a half, something like that. How does it feel to be reuniting with them?
Yeah, they were wicked. Yeah.
We got they were one of the bands on the Ricky Warwick show, and I think it was did we meet him in Leeds, maybe the first show, and instantly just got on. They're a really cool set of lads, down to earth, and they're a really cool band. So we through that tour we became good friends, and it makes a huge difference if you're going out on the road to have as close to a kind of family and friend vibe as possible, because it's a pretty rough terrain sometimes. So yeah, we're massively looking forward to it. Yeah, can't wait.
And you're kicking off the tour in Glasgow, a place that obviously you've no secrets to saying how much you love. But last year you supported Gun at the Barrowlands and that was your first time playing the Barrowlands. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, we'd heard about that venue for 10 years, and it was always like, oh, wait till you play Barrowlands, and obviously it never came around. And it was amazing. I could only think like maybe a little bit like the Apollo in Manchester, which is like my favourite venue. But you know, yeah, just such a good vibe in there. It was such a great, and the sound was amazing, absolutely amazing in there. Yeah, it was a proper highlight that playing that gig. Really, really was. I mean, I really hope we get to play there again very soon and many more times.
Yeah, so you've also done a couple of songs over the years about the north of England. The Darkness put out a song on their last album about how much they love Glasgow. When are we going to get the Virginmarys version of that?
What, a song about Glasgow?
Yeah.
Can write that. We do love Glasgow. It kind of I kind of feel a bit like I don't want to keep banging on about it every time, because it doesn't feel like it's authentic. But yeah, there is something about Glasgow where you go and you feel at home. Has to be the people, I think. And maybe there's a similarity between that and Manchester, which is almost like the closest home city show that we have. But yeah, it's just there's just that warmness and realness, and it really resonates with who we are and what the band is, I guess. So maybe we should write that song.
Yeah, I mean, if Justin Hawkins can do it, you guys can do it.
For sure.
Yeah. So you're also going back to Inverness for the first time in a long, long time. How does that feel?
Great. We used to love traveling up to Inverness, and we got to meet some really great people there. I can't remember what the venue was called that we I think we played a couple, but it tended to be that we stayed with some good friends in Aberdeen, and then we travel up to Inverness and do a couple of places around there. I never really realised how far away that place actually is.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a good lineup as well on that. It's Monster Fest that we're playing.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
And you're also taking requests for this tour, so can we expect some like kind of surprises and deep cuts for songs that we can expect?
Yeah, big time. We were just saying before that to go through some of that material that we did back when, it's really cool. Like we'd not done it for years and years, and you kind of get reminded, like, oh shit, this is a really cool song. And feels like it's kind of bringing something different to the set that's not there. So yeah, there'll be a few nice surprises for fans.
So what's your favourite venue to play?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I say, I've always wanted to play the Apollo, and for whatever reason, we've never managed to get there. So that would be a massive dream if we could get there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Other than that,
I think the favourite place that I've played was the Olympia in Paris. You know, when we did it with Skunk and Nancy. That was an awesome place. If we could have our own show there, that'd be the one for me.
So now that you're also a two-piece, do you have any other favourite fellow two-piece bands?
I mean,
obviously,
you know,
Haggard Cat were really cool guys, really cool band to be about. Hyena Kill, really ace.
Well, there's 4 for them now.
There isn't there?
There is 4. Yes, they've doubled down.
But yeah, you see more and more bands becoming slimming the whole thing down for whatever reason. Some of it has to be cost, I guess, to make it more viable for bands to be able to go out on tour, I would think.
So how does it feel knowing that King and Conflict turns 10 next year?
Yeah, I was actually, we were talking about this in rehearsals this week. I was just saying it's crazy that it's 10 years. Like, it just doesn't seem like that long at all. And obviously that's where also, and it's obviously, I'd probably say it feels like it's the most favorite album for the, you know, for the largest part of our fans. And yeah, it's a shame we don't own the rights, because we could release it on vinyl. But I don't know, man. I mean, it'd be great if we can at least do a gig, you know, and play them songs. We haven't played some of them songs since 2013, I would think. So yeah, maybe, hopefully, or certainly, you know, it'd be great, even if it was a stripped version.
And being around for quite a wee while now, who've been some of the newer bands that have impressed you?
I would say, go on, Dan, sorry.
In the last 10 years, I mean, obviously Idols, like, is a big one. Like, it's incredible that a band like that could break through and get as big as they are. And it's just a shame there's not more of that type of bands that can break through as massive as they have. Yeah, but there's some really, really cool bands coming out now and stuff. So I'm trying to think bands that, I mean, I don't think, I remember when Royal Blood came out, and I don't think anybody could have expected them to be as big as they were. It's a weird one with them, because I think the first time I heard them, I thought they sounded really great, and then now I'm not so, I don't really get it now, you know. It's and maybe that's because of the success, I don't know. It just doesn't sound as authentic, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But yeah, certainly Idols are the most, one thing you absolutely have to say about that band is that 100% authentic. And I can't think of a band making it as well mainstream, but sticking to the guns more than them. It's incredible.
What about you, Ali?
Yeah, obviously Idols are great. I really like the bands that we toured with, like Florence Black, Andy Lazarus, and Haggard Cat. You know, there's great music coming out. I tend not to listen to loads of radio or like playlists of new music, so it's maybe I'm probably not the best person to speak to on this and be really excited about all the new music that's coming out, because it's not my area of expertise. I would say I kind of like dig through old stuff, and yeah, But there's stuff there blatantly that's really great.
And last question, are there any plans for the rest of the year after this tour finishes, or is there any plans for 2023? What can we expect there?
Yeah, I think that we want to release maybe a couple more singles, something, and just I think the whole point this year was just, especially after the whole COVID, no one really knew what kind of year it was going to be. Was it going to be the same as it's always been? And it still isn't quite there. Like, everybody across the industry is saying that. And obviously, as a two, it felt like the best move for us was to release singles, and so fans could get the vibe of where we're going with this. And so I would like to think that I would think that we're probably going to release another 2, maybe even 3 singles, and then it'd be an album probably. I think, and or if it wasn't an album, then maybe it's a couple of EPs. But it's just about trying to keep putting new music out, and so fans can see where we're going with it. Let them come along for the ride for it. And I don't know. We haven't done a Christmas show in a long time, so it'd be cool if we could do that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. The Christmas shows are always really good.
Yeah, man. I think like it's I think it's a tough terrain for, but I mean, it has been for a while for, the smaller acts to survive out in the industry. And you've had Brexit, and then COVID, and then the Ukraine war, and the cost of living going mental. It's a really mad time, and all that affects people buying things, people going out, and like Dan says, it hasn't quite got back to normal since COVID. Maybe it won't, but I think for a lot of bands it's just it's difficult to make that many plans without knowing where it's headed. So as long as we're kind of releasing new music, playing the shows, and communicating with the fans, that's the main thing for us, I would say. But yeah, it'd be awesome to do a Christmas special. It'd be awesome to do to commemorate the King of Conflict album as well next year.
And is there anything else you want to say before we finish up?
When's this going out?
Hopefully soon.
Right. Well, just looking forward to the tour in October, and a huge thanks to the fans all over the world. And I will be streaming an acoustic set for those who can't make the tour, who don't live in the UK or can't make the shows for whatever reason, including some of the songs that we haven't played for a while. So we don't want anyone to miss out, and we want to kind of thank all the fans for the support.
Well, we'll see you next time then.
Cheers, Russ.
Cheers, mate.